I was on my nightly walk last night and I was looking at the mountains and I saw red leaves on the treetops at the very top of the mountains, and it reminded me that as this time comes to pass in this new season that we're about to enter, hot girl summer is ending and the relationship time is commencing. And I want to warn all of the men out there to be mindful and be in discernment and have discernment during this time, because a lot of the women that were participating in Hot Girl Summer are now going to be on the prowl looking for relationships because, well, they want to have their fun during this time in the summer, and then during the cold winter months they want to make sure that they're cuddly and they're taken care of. And we've got the holidays coming up, and here in America, because I have viewers all around the world at this point, here in America we've got three main holidays, one in October, November, and December, that are all pagan, that are all demonic. And in fact, it's really a time that I don't really look forward to much in the year anymore because of all the demonic activity ramping up. And even on the call that we had yesterday with the Regal Change Academy, on the group call, we had people that were sharing their stories about what was going on in their lives and such, and the demons are amping up their their facilitation in buffoonery, and it's just crazy to see, and it's not okay, but this is what we have to deal with. But you know, this is exactly what happens though at this time period, this kind of transition period with September. And for Hot Girl Summer, all of the women that are having their fun and now they want to be involved with a guy that is going to take care of them for the winter months and all that. And it seems to me like there are a couple things to watch out for to ensure that you're not falling into any kind of traps or anything, because there are thirst traps that are going to be set loose, and you got to be careful. Number one is get off. If you're on a dating app right now, look, I understand that if you know, you got to meet people somehow, and maybe you're not at a position where you can go out and meet people. And I'm not necessarily saying that you need to be recluse, but if you're on a dating app, you know the kind of women that are usually on dating apps, right? And you know the collective consciousness that is on dating apps. I'm not a dating guru or anything like that, but sure seems to me like a lot of the women that are on those kinds of apps and everything are not even worthy of girlfriend material, let alone wife material. And if you're a man on this channel, you're probably looking to create a long-lasting relationship with a woman and have a family. But the thing is that a lot of these women can't even be trusted. Okay, they want to change their ways, and they want to change their ways now. And now that they found a good guy like you, that you actually have some kind of semblance of stability, not only physically, but emotionally, spiritually, financially, you have some kind of semblance of stability. And you got to be careful, man, because a lot of the 304s are attracted to men that are at least minute, I don't know if that's quite a word, but minorly successful. And the reason being is because they provide some kind of sense of security. And how do you know if a woman is trying to seduce you like this? Well, she's going to be only sexual in her advances. She's not going to be trying to really show that she can be loyal and she can be willing to be earning your love and respect and all that, because women really do only care if they can earn it. And it's so weird. Sometimes it seems like the more hoops a woman has to jump through, it's almost like the more she's attracted to you. And it can be too much. I'm not saying that you should just, put up all these different hoops and play games. That's not what I'm saying at all. What I'm saying is that you got to have the vetting process. Now, what do I mean by vetting process? You got to be able to see certain behaviors. How does she interact with other men? How does she interact with other women? What is her relationship like to her family, specifically her father? Because if her relationship with her father is anywhere in the meh zone, that's probably how you're going to be treated, is like meh. Okay? And so the relationship that she has with her father is really going to determine, more often than not, the relationship that she's going to have with you as a man. And that's just psychological, that's very spiritual. And for men, it's a bit different. A lot of the times women will say to look how a man treats his mother, but and I do think that that's true to some degree. Just like I think it's true that if a woman comes from a hard background or a chaotic background, and it's possible for her to get herself together in some way, shape, or form, but more often than not, she's going to need a man in order to do that. And I've seen this. I've seen this in consultations. I've seen this with just in my community in general, where a man has met a woman that he really likes, and even though she's had a bit of a background, even though it's not necessarily promiscuous, it was just kind of chaotic, and she was willing to work with it, and he was willing to work with it, and they both understand that proper communication needs to be had, and they need to be getting somewhere in the future, and they made it work, and they're making it work, and good for them. And I've seen this a couple times, but there's also been times where I've seen men think that this woman is different. Anytime you think a woman is different, I guarantee you, 9 times out of 10, you're going to be disappointed. And I'm not saying that it's because of her, I'm saying it's because of your lack of judgment, and it's your lack of discernment. Because if you really understood women to the level that I do, and I'm not even saying that I understand them more than anybody else, I'm just saying that I've been through the fire so many times that it's like, at this point, I'm not surprised by anything. Things that happened a couple years ago to 5 years ago, really 5 years ago, when I first met one of the biggest narcissistic women I've ever met. And don't get me wrong, I love women. I love the spirit of femininity, but as soon as you get beyond the spirit of femininity and you're dealing with individual women, it gets a little bit more complex in how you interact, even though it doesn't have to be, but that's kind of the way it is. And so I've seen where even just 2 to 5 years ago, if that kind of stuff happened to me today, the way that I would respond internally would be naturally so much more different, because of all the things that I've been through. And really, as a man, I think you just got to go through that. In some sense, I think it's part of becoming a man, and being a man is going through a tremendous heartbreak where you give a woman your heart, your soul, and she tears it apart into pieces, and you have to build that shit back up together. Excuse my French, but that's what it is. You have to do that. You have to build yourself back up. And you've got to take the crap that you were dealt and the cards that you were dealt and really make something with it. And every time that happened in the past for me, and it wasn't too much, but the couple times it did, I was really burned. There were 2 women in specific that I dealt with that really taught me a lot about women. The first one was about 5-6 years ago, and that was the first highly narcissistic woman I've ever come across. And then the second one was a married woman from about 3.5-4 years ago. And the first one, it was like an intro to the second woman. Like, it was just an intro to the darkness and the dark side of femininity. And the second one really taught me everything I needed to know about woman herself as a species. because woman really is like a species of her own. And I say that with an archetypal background as well. But I guess how do I say this? An archetypal theme in the background, I suppose, and significance. But the first lady that I met her in college, and we knew each other for nearly 4 years. And I could tell there were a few times where she wanted me to make a move, but every time I did, it was like she was slightly rejecting me and rejecting my advances, and she would like lead me on just to dismiss me. And I had no clue what was really going on. I really didn't know, because it was like we both knew that we had some kind of feeling for each other, but hers was way more platonic than mine. And I wanted to make that clear to her, and she just wanted to keep me around. She just wanted to keep me around as an ego boost, and I didn't really want to be around. But then she would say, certain things that would spark my romantic side, and little memories here and there. And I was definitely gaslit, and I let myself be gaslit. I let myself be manipulated. And I noticed that there were certain trends with each of these women, these two specifically. And in general, there were trends, but it would always be at certain time periods. During the summer, they wouldn't want anything to do with me. They wouldn't want anything to do with it. But all of a sudden, when the winter months started to come around, and fall, or really early spring either, that's when they wanted to play the game. During the summer, they didn't want anything to do with me, because at that time, I wasn't like a fun guy. I wasn't the exciting guy. But all of a sudden, during these more like cooler months, and I don't know, there was just something about it that seemed like they wanted to be involved with me at those time periods. But even then, it wasn't necessarily like full-fledged. Now, however, that was with the first lady. The second lady, 3.5, 4 years ago, this woman and I talked for about a month and a half or 2 months or so, and she was really good at convincing me that she was willing to get married, and she was a good Christian woman, and she was a bit older than me. And my first sign should have been that she was trying to teach me about the Bible. At the time, I didn't really know that a woman trying to teach a man about the Bible was a red flag. I didn't know that. Well, now I do know that. And so I don't really pay much attention to a woman that's trying to teach me something. It's like, oh, you think you know more than me? You think that I haven't seen things that would turn your blood cold? Cool. All right. I'll let you do your thing, and then I'll just walk away, because I don't have the patience to deal with that kind of woman anymore. I just don't. I know my worth, and I know what I've been through. I know who I am. And so, anyway, this woman, the second woman, she was the most brilliant manipulator I've ever seen in my life. I mean, she could have gotten an Oscar, ladies and gentlemen. She could have gotten an Oscar for how well of a part she played. And she was really good at seducing me. Oh my gosh, she learned everything that she needed to know about what I was attracted to and how I was attracted and what exactly. And we were talking. We never got physical, thank God. But it definitely was an emotional affair of sorts. And I didn't even know she was married until about 2 months in. And that's when I started to, okay, we need to stop talking. And holy moly, she was on the hunt for a new man. And it was at that point, she basically, through her actions, demonstrated that if she can't have me, nobody will have me. She tried to frame me. She tried to get the cops involved. She tried to do all this crazy stuff, and she tried to tell, like, the people that she told, apparently, they thought that I was trying to pursue her, even though I knew she was married. And I said no. As soon as I found out that she was married, I pretty much said, be gone. Be gone, woman. Like, I'm not like that. As attracted to you as I am, I'm not like that. And even then, like, because I was spiritually enthralled by this woman. It was like when I looked into her eyes, I literally felt hypnotized looking into her eyes. And I know now that that's a Jezebel spirit. But her eyes were like that of an assassin, ladies and gentlemen. It was like a lion, you know, that lion look in the eye where it's very piercing but very beautiful at the same time. And she even did have kind of like eyes like a lion, you know, kind of like that pale, like, mix of yellow and orange in a way. It was very unique eye color, but man, she was the devil incarnated, man. She was the devil incarnated. And guess what time that was? It was during the winter months. And she was looking to catch me and settle down. She wasn't looking for like a fling necessarily. She was looking to transfer husbands. That's what she was looking for. Crazy woman. But this is just something that you need to look out for. This is something that you need to pay attention to. And I don't necessarily tell these stories just to tell them, but I tell them because I hope that the message will be getting across to the men or whoever is watching this, some kind of form of insight of what to not do. Because I know the mistakes that I did, and I know that I tried to forgive these women and give them a chance and be affectionate, to these women that had hot girl summers and they're fun, and then they wanted to settle down. And I tried that with other women, but fortunately I was smart enough to catch on to the buffoonery of the devil in them before things got too far, and I was able to set proper boundaries. And you can set proper boundaries will save your life, man. Boundaries will save your life. And that's exactly what I think I want to get the main message across in this video. When these women are out on the prowl for relationships, you got to be able to set boundaries, and you got to be able to think with this head and not the other one, okay? All right. With that being said, I hope this message was useful and insightful, and until next time, peace be with you.